later. Anybody want to play a game? You don't have to ask a question. Anybody? Come on now. All right, let's go. Tell me what your name is. Stand up. What part of town are you from?
Carmel Valley.
Carmel Valley. Okay. Is that on your list? Okay. I have a question for you, and it's a multiple choice. You all ready? You want to help her out? All right. Jim Madaffer, a former San Diego City Council member and now a member of the Board of Directors of the Water Authority, said this to someone at a board meeting recently. Quote, "I think you're trying to pull a fast one on this board, and I'm not going to let you do it." End quote. To whom was he saying this? That's the right construction. To whom was he saying this? A man trying to sell the Water Authority on the value of desalinated water, even though it's far more expensive than any other source. B, a consultant trying to explain why using less water means we have to pay higher water rates. Or C, the agency's general counsel who wanted a consultant's work not to be hidden behind attorney-client privilege. Or D, a consultant trying to get them to spend billions on a new pipeline over hundreds of miles to the Colorado River. Is it A, the man trying to sell desalinated water? B, the consultant trying to explain why less water means we have to pay more? C, the general counsel who wanted to make things more transparent? Or D, the consultant who wanted the pipeline to the desert?
Can I first ask what they think?
Yes. Come on, Mark, you're a board member. It doesn't...
I'd already decided, but I just wanted to hear what you thought. C.
It is C. Let's go. Congratulations, Lisa. Yes. Of all the fast ones being pulled at the Water Authority, that extra effort at transparency was what was being the fast one being pulled. Welcome to the Voice of San Diego podcast. I'm your host, Scott Lewis, CEO and editor-in-chief. I'm here with my friends, Andrea Sanchez Villafana. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Bella Ross.
Howdy.
How cool is Bella? And this guy.
I have nothing to say about that.
Jacob McQuinney.
Hey, Scott, so did you have to go out and purchase this referee shirt, or is it something you already had?
I literally just got asked that. No, I didn't. It was purchased for me by Julianne Markow.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. It was supposed to come with a whistle.
Are you sort of the Waluigi to the umpires that were umping the Padres game yesterday?
Oh. You had to bring up the Padres.
Well, I just, another failed San Diego sports franchise. There's certainly no San Diego Aztecs men's basketball team.
No.
Which is a very successful San Diego sports franchise.
It's not really French. All right, let's start out dark. Welcome to the Voice of San Diego podcast. How about Politifest 2025, right? This is the part of the day that we've been looking forward to, and I thank you all for staying. It is a lot to ask for people to spend the full day talking about all these things, getting deep into the weeds on homelessness, on housing, on water, on electricity rates. That was a fiery one. Anybody see that one? Everything from behavioral health to education. How did that go?
It was pretty fiery, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, we got some good stuff.
Okay, good. So we are here to discuss the winners. And the winner of the first Solutions Showdown this morning was on the question of how do we get the city we want.
Wait, really quick. Let's explain exactly what we did different this year.
Okay, go for it.
So,
In case you didn't witness it today.
So, although most good ideas come from me, this one didn't.
questionable that it was a good idea? Then?
Came from you, didn't it?
Yes, this was.
That was a joke. Not everything's good.
I inflicted this format upon you all. Apologies, or you're welcome. And the idea here was to create something more engaging. I mean, so much of politics and public affairs can be mired in pretty technical, in-the-weeds sort of stuff. And whenever we can have conversations that meet people where they are, and conversations that excite people and interest people and create some sort of way to make them more interesting, I think that's a good thing. And that was kind of the goal with this. I mean, I guess you'll all tell us if it was a success. But the goal was to create something like explicitly more gamified, hence the boxing gloves on these beautiful trophies over here. Because inevitably, the way that our public affairs are right now is, while they are gamified, they're not explicitly gamified. And so our hope was to create something that allowed people to kind of see the way that not only democracy functions, but the value of having clear, concise policies, clear, concise platforms, and the ability to explain them, what that value is in real time. And you know, we will see, I guess, in the reviews afterwards if we succeeded.
Yeah. I think one thing that I don't know if it's attention deficit or something. I have a real hard time learning from panels. I always have, from people just talking on a stage. I struggle like in just learning or paying attention, and which is ironic because I spend so much a part of my life on panels or moderating panels. And so when Jacob and others brought up the idea of trying to shift things up a little bit, it resonated with me a lot. And I think what the core of what we wanted to do is make sure that it was guaranteed that a part of the panel discussion would be educational and interesting and would be able to get something across. After that, who knows what would happen. But
well, and I just want to add, like, I think it was a huge determination in why we did this. Maybe to state the obvious is just that everything is so depressing right now. And to have an event that's focused on solutions, it can feel very empowering. I know that, like, myself and many others here have been making cynical jokes all day, like, we solved the housing crisis and all that kind of thing. But I do think that it's really, like, cool to spend an entire day talking about how we could do things differently in a like practical, pragmatic way. And I was sitting in multiple panels where like nobody seemed to really disagree with each other, which is pretty encouraging.
Yeah, electricity was not that.
I was not there. I managed to go to the least spicy panels, I guess. Everybody was like, there was, in the housing one, we literally asked them like, what do you disagree on? And they're like, nothing. But that's great. That's a huge issue. And like, it's great to have three really informed people say that they like largely agree on what we need to do. So
yeah, well, I was thrilled with the morning discussion on how do we get the city we want. Is Will here? You. Oh, way in the back. Great job, Will Huntsberry, organizing or pulling that together and the moderation. So we did have a winner in the polling discussion there, and the winner of the How Do We Get the City We Want Solutions Showdown this year, the inaugural Solutions Showdown, Councilman Shawnee Rivera. Come on up.
woo!
Congratulations.
You got to say who he defeated.
Mayor Todd Gloria and Amy Fawcett are just getting patched up in the training room right now. There was no actual violence.
So, Sean, can you explain to us exactly what your solution was and how closely it will resemble your future mayoral platform?
There's the solution part, but I'm not going to take the 10 minutes that I had, but I do want to start with this because I think the question itself, I didn't want to reject the premise, but I didn't think that starting where you all wanted to start was actually the best place to start. The how is certainly important, but like I think San Diego really has an issue in struggling to say what it is that we're trying to be. And until we determine that what or the who that we're trying to become, all the how is it could be smart on the surface, but not actually the way to get to where we want to go, right? So That's where we started our conversation. At least I started my presentation was what I want us to be. And I want us to be a place where everyone sees a future for themselves here. From my toddler to the seniors in our community and everyone in between. And we can't do that unless people believe that they'll be able to afford to live here. And if there aren't good jobs, and if there isn't a community that actually is a community, right? I do feel at times that San Diego is much more a collection of neighborhoods than it is a city unified around or in pursuit of a common vision and common goals. And then I think we need to have fun. And so the how, I think, is tapping into the gold mine that we are sitting on in tourism and making that actually work for San Diegans. Because I think San Diegans are told all the time how important tourism is, how valuable it is. And I know from the communities that I worked in prior to being a council member and many of the communities that I represent, if you were to ask them, how's that working for you? They would not necessarily say, well. Even the ones who work in that industry. That's why we just had to fight as hard as we fought to lift the minimum wage for tourism workers. And so I believe in San Diego. I'm someone who moved here for law school. We did a little assessment of the room that we were in, and it seemed like the majority of people moved here were not born and raised here, and I think that's common for a lot of rooms in San Diego. And I think that people who move here appreciate San Diego in a different way than folks who were born and raised here. And what everyone had shared in common, whether born and raised here or someone who moved here, was an experience of going out of the city and talking to people, and when they find out you're from San Diego, saying, ooh, San Diego. I love San Diego. San Diego's the best. I wish I lived in San Diego. And it doesn't feel like we own that. It doesn't feel like we actually use that to our benefit. And so how can we be a place that people travel to in such great numbers, where people from around the country say that they envy us for living here, but that doesn't actually end up working for so many residents here, and fewer people see a future for themselves. So it's tapping into that and making that work for San Diegans.
So at the core of that is kind of thinking of these tourists like Norway thinks of oil, right? Like we got so much of it. Like let's build a great society off of it. Is that fair? Like I mean,
it's actually that's almost the identical. When I said gold mine, I mean it like that. Yeah, it's there are things that we have that other people do not have that is of incredible value, and that is extracted right now in far too great of a proportion.
Now, that said, I mean, we charge a transient occupancy tax on hotels and vacation rentals. What exactly do you want to see kept here with them, and then to do what?
Yeah. So, yes, we charge TOT, but we charge less TOT than other cities. And I don't think that San Diego is as attractive a tourist destination as it is because it's the cheapest place in town. I don't think we have to sell our workers out and say that they have to live in poverty in order for us to maintain our place as a prime tourist destination. So I do think that there's more there. I want them to pay their fair share, and that means like really thinking holistically about that. It means there is a cost to a tourist going to a beach and being served by one of the best lifeguard forces in the country and being protected from drowning when they bring their non-swimming Wisconsin selves to our beaches. And the the lifeguards would tell you that a majority of their rescues are for non-residents. That like there's a cost that we are paying when they park at the beach, when they drive on our roads. All of those things cost things, and right now that cost is being unfairly and overwhelmingly borne by San Diegans. And I don't think ever, but especially in a time when the cost of living is so high, it is fair to ask San Diegans to subsidize the vacations and the extravagant profits of people who do not work here. So we are going to be proposing a vacation home tax. We have about 11,000 homes in San Diego that are either used as full-time, full-home vacation rentals or second homes, that, including the $108 million mansion that I showed during the presentation. Those homes are sitting empty while people sleep on the streets. That's not okay. There is something morally abhorrent in my mind about the idea of 5,000 homes in the city of San Diego sitting empty luxury homes sitting empty while people are sleeping on sidewalks. There's $100 to $135 million in revenue in that single tax. The parking at the beaches and bays for non-residents.
Well, before you go on, let's break that down. So how would you assess that tax?
The way we're thinking about it right now is based on bedroom count. So because you are taking bedrooms off the housing market, and we would be taxing the use or non-use of homes for vacation purposes. And again, about 11,000 properties. We actually have, it's a strange place to be in to start with such good data, actually. But it turns out that everyone who owns a second home in San Diego has registered that home with the city treasurer in order to receive certain tax benefits. We know exactly how many vacation rentals we have because of the registry there. So we're working with really good data. You will not be shocked to hear that the overwhelming majority of these properties are either in downtown San Diego or along the coast. Many people have talked about a vacancy tax for a long time, but the issue with the vacancy tax is it doesn't actually achieve the goal that folks want to achieve because the homes aren't vacant. They're just not lived in very often. And when vacancy taxes have been studied here, they don't produce much revenue. A vacation home tax would, and I think we get to the same goal.
Listening, there was something that really struck me. Whereas Donald Trump says, America, Americans first, it sounded to me like you were saying San Diegans first. How do you think about that?
It's, I think, the first time I've ever been compared, or anything I've said has been compared, and I hope that's the last. Look, I think there's a reason why that message resonates. And when you are struggling and suffering, and it doesn't feel like the people who are supposed to be representing you or working for you are fighting for you, you want to know people are doing that. So I get that. So I want people to come here. I want people to enjoy themselves here. And I do not think we should shut ourselves off from people coming here. Talented people are like the university students who moved to San Diego. We certainly should not be saying no to them. It's different in that we are asking people to pay their fair share. Pay things that they pay in other cities. I mean, it's wild to me that the city of San Diego doesn't have the confidence to ask non-residents to pay for parking at the beach when like almost every city up and down the coast does just that. Our beaches are great. And so it's just about owning what we have and asking people to pay their fair share. And I do want to stress this point. San Diego is not alone in being an attractive tourist destination that is crumbling under the pressure of those impacts. And we are seeing a global movement pushing back against those impacts, from Barcelona to Puerto Rico to other places across the world, where the people who grow up in a community or love a community and no longer see a future for themselves there, yet see more and more people coming and vacationing, that is a recipe for disaster. And in other places, we've actually seen it turn into, if not violence, like really kind of aggressive acts toward tourists. And I don't want that to happen here. And I think we can avoid that by asking people to pay their fair share, for San Diegans to actually be able to see the benefits and reap the rewards, and not just be told by an industry over and over again, no, trust us, it's good for you. Because it's just not bearing out right now.
And can I just ask you, you say at the core of all of this seems to be this identity crisis that San Diego has about what we are, what it is that we want to be. And I think that there are a lot of people like yourself who have ideas for what we can be and how we can get there. And I think there are a lot of people in this city who disagree with that vision and feel like this vision is being imposed upon them. And I kind of just wonder, how do we actually decide collectively what city we want to be and move in the same direction together?
Well, first, I think we actually have to have that conversation in a real way. I try to be very transparent about the future that I want for San Diego, and I know I don't expect everyone to be on board with that. And the goal in a democratic process, I don't think, especially one that involves many, many people, like a city of 1.4 million people, the goal can't be unanimity, because you will never go anywhere. But consensus is something to strive for. I think we can achieve that. And I think that, you know, the folks that I talk to, I don't think it's a radical idea to want everyone who lives here and grows up here or moves here for school or is retired to actually believe that they will continue to believe it, to live in this city. Now, the how we achieve that, certainly there will be differences. But that goal, I think that there's a lot to unite around there. And it doesn't have to be a progressive like myself to someone on the far other end of the spectrum, I think is just as invested in seeing their kids be able to continue to live in the community where they grow up as I am for, you know, my son.
There was an audience question during your panel. I was looking at all the questions, and one of those was, when you say non-residents, are we talking people who are coming from Arizona or Wisconsin and drowning in our beaches, or are we talking, are we also including, someone from Chula Vista, someone from Escondido?
Yeah.
And what would the money be for? You talk about taxes themselves aren't necessarily great. You'd have to pay for something.
Right, yeah. So to kind of build on what Andrea said, yes, and I know that's not popular, but it's also like there's things that San Diego does not charge non-residents for, including the people from neighboring cities, that they charge us. And that's kind of wild. And I appreciate that San Diego is the biggest city in the region and everyone feels like they have a stake in what we do. We receive all sorts of thoughts from people from other cities about the way we should or shouldn't do what we're doing and the terrible decisions we're making. Well, I think we'd be able to make better decisions if they were contributing their fair share when they visited. Scott, to your point, I think where the mayor and I aligned mostly, not entirely, was what we could use those resources for, right? We need to make sure that housing is affordable in San Diego. And we can take a big step forward on that front by leveraging the resources from that vacation home tax for housing. It would literally, just half of it would cover everything that we pay for our homelessness services department right now. And then there's additional revenue there to invest more in housing. Now, I think where the mayor and I differ a little bit is, I believe that the zoning reforms, the policy changes are part of the puzzle. I am not willing to sit and wait for the market to do whatever we magically expect it to do when it comes to providing middle-income housing or the housing that's not currently being produced. I think that the government has a responsibility to step in there and do the things that the private market won't. We have a bigger scope that we are viewing benefits through than pure profit. And one of the issues that we have right now in San Diego is almost every home that is built is tied to a profit incentive in one way or another. Even the housing that's built by nonprofit affordable developers, they're paying back loans to banks who want to make money, right? So there's a way for us to kind of interrupt that model a bit. I think we should be using it that way. The revenue from the parking at beaches and bays, and I think we should also be exploring a rental car business tax. Those folks drive they're making a choice to drive when they come to San Diego. They are wearing out roads. I think it's fair to ask them to pay their fair share there. We should be using that for infrastructure. And then I mentioned the parks and rec programs. Torrey Pines, again, advanced booking fees. So this is someone who's traveling to San Diego to play Torrey Pines, is booking it out months or years in advance. You can charge a premium to someone who is booking out Torrey Pines Golf Course years in advance from New York. And we can use that revenue to create programming for youth and child care for kids.
Sean Elo Rivera, congratulations on your major award.
Certainly one of the awards I'm sure he's most proud of over his career.
All right, next up we have the how do we solve the cross-border sewage crisis? Did we fix it? Yeah? And the winner of that one was Carlos de la Parra. He had a plan to rip up the concrete and bring the Tijuana River back to its natural state. Carlos is not here, though, correct? We'll get it to him. Congratulations, Carlos. And what do we do about street homelessness? I sat on this one for a while. That was a good effort. Is Lisa here? Hello, Lisa. Yeah, Lisa Halverstadt, everyone, huh?
We love Lisa.
We do have a winner present, though, here, and we'll discuss things with him. Ian DeJong, President and CEO of Org Code Consulting. Thank you. Come on up. His idea was to increase supportive housing for homeless San Diegans throughout the city and ensure it succeeds. Congratulations on your major award. Yeah. So tell us, how do we do that?
It starts with political will, to be honest. I was recently in a northern climate, and an elected official was saying, you know, my constituents hate two things, potholes and road resurfacing. You know what people hate? Seeing unsheltered homelessness, but also building the solution. And that's where the political will comes in. It hurts if we keep people homeless, and it destroys lives, and people can perish. But it also is going to hurt to work through the community process to say that we need to build things at scale that we've never built before. And so we need to start looking at permanent supportive housing as part of our public infrastructure, not a special one-off project. So they are just as important as our roads and our sewers and our park space and our schools. We need to think through inclusion from the start, not as an afterthought when we're in crisis. And we need to be able to get to a scale that is actually going to allow for significant reductions in the service utilization of people who are experiencing homelessness, because they actually have the stability and wraparound supports, that they're not consuming remarkable, sometimes profoundly gross amounts of money and not have their homelessness resolved.
What do those things look like? What kind of projects scale at that level? Literally, like, what would we see happen that we don't see?
Well, you know, by the back of the envelope estimation that I use for today is that if this is a city that wants to be a world-class city and wants to build, it needs about 2,500 units of permanent supportive housing over the next 5 years. And that might sound ambitious, 500 per year, but if we really think about all different types, acquisition, rehabilitation, new construction using new technologies, then we have to think about inclusion of permanent supportive housing both as like infill operation as well as think about permanent supportive housing as part of new development. And to really think through, again, if you were going to do a new development and you knew that you're going to have a number of school-aged children, you'd put in a school. If we're going to put in a new development and we know that there's going to be people who have housing needs, we should plan for that from the beginning, not as get special permission later.
Can you explain, we should have done this sooner, but can you explain what supportive housing is for those of us in the audience who don't know? And yeah, let's start there.
Yeah, so supportive housing is intended and specifically targets those individuals that have the most barriers to achieving housing on their own. So those barriers could be everything from having like ongoing brain injury, where they have enough function to take care of independent activities of daily living, but might have some impulse control issues or like management issues. It includes people with mental illness. It includes people with addictions. It includes people with physical impairments, but it predominantly includes people who have been really impacted by trauma in their life, and in particular the trauma that led to their homelessness. And so through supportive housing, people can get an apartment, and that apartment could be at everything from a bedroom in a house to a multi-unit residential building. It can be site-based, where we put a number of people in the same location. It can be scattered site, so they're located in different locations throughout. But we need to think about the support function as, how do I give this individual choice on where they want to live? And then how do I customize my supports to meet their needs, as opposed to one size fits all that people either fail or succeed at? The success is really measured at the individual level, and success starts with, if I keep you housed, the likelihood of me succeeding at things like substance use recovery, or helping you stay connected to a psychiatrist, or helping you with money management, or helping you with legal issues, all are grossly improved if people have the stability of a safe place to call home.
The common argument against it is that you're just going to drive more demand, attract more people, and maybe sort of make people more dependent on government and that sort of assistance going forward. What's your response to that?
I think that in the 30-some years I've been doing this throughout the world, I've yet to come across the homelessness bat symbol that says this is a city that has all the right resources and we're all going to migrate there. And I swear that, you know, given my time in really remote northern climates around the world where people are living outside when it's like below zero, if there was a bat symbol, they would all go to the warmer climates and have the best resources. So the idea of if you build it, they will come, yes, there's a certain part of that. But to say that that's the biggest issue, that's entirely false and has been proven time and time and time again. In terms of how do we go about, in terms of creating spaces where it doesn't just have like the magnet effect, we also have to think through, well, what are the things that we actually are excited about when we have magnet effect? We're in an institution right now that has a magnet effect. It will attract people to this community that haven't been here before or have something to contribute to this community. Councilmember Eula Rivera really talked about, you know, not everybody's born here, but people find a love for it and want to stay here. Well, if that's okay for someone who's middle or higher income, why do we have two sets of standards and think that migration rights within a country only apply to people who have economic mobility? And that if my needs are not met in another community, whether that's education, health, or housing, I should have the ability to try and have those needs met.
Well, Ian DeJong, congratulations
Thank you.
on your major award.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Congrats.
You want to do this one? You can just announce it.
Okay, our next one was for the issue on how do we build more housing people can afford. That's a big one. No, it's not a big problem.
Did they solve it?
They solved it. The winner for that one is Ricardo Flores from List San Diego.
Is Ricardo here? I don't.
I don't see Ricardo.
See him. But his proposal was to lower housing prices by increasing property rights for single-family homeowners.
I think what he's saying is you should be allowed to divide up your lot, right? And make it easier to build.
Yeah.
Levi?
Essentially, not having 5,000 square feet.
Hold on. We got to make sure the people can hear you.
I can't quote it detail by detail, but essentially not having 5,000 square feet be the minimum building lot size.
Yeah, if you get rid of minimum lot sizes, it'll allow people to build more homes.
There was a lot of consensus on that one. I was sitting in on it. There, you know, just general agreement about the concepts of reducing minimum lot sizes, upzoning, deregulating, all of that good stuff.
Don't you love when everybody agrees on the solution to a problem we still haven't solved?
Crazy how that works.
Wild.
You want to do this one?
Okay, the next one we had here was, how can we make the cost of electricity more affordable? It seems like, again, a very, very easy solution. The winner was Bill Powers, energy systems consultant. He wanted to go with public power.
Bill here? Well,
No,
Bill,
Powers.
that was a spirited discussion. I think we worked hard to not make it just a debate about municipalization. This is the idea that the city of San Diego would either purchase or condemn to purchase all of the electricity lines and distribution transmission lines from SDG&E, take them over, create either a city department or a quasi-city agency that would be the new power department. And you know, we didn't want the debate or the discussion to just be about that, but he did have probably the clearest idea or articulation of what to do and you know, why people were fired up about it. And it did end up being kind of a debate about that, with Jack McGrory on one side saying, do you really want the city running the power department? And then on the other side, Kelly Smith saying, I love public power, but you're going to waste 10 years trying to get that done.
What role do you think his last name had in people voting for him?
Yeah, he's been a prominent figure in these discussions for a couple decades, and it's not an unnoticed that his name is Bill Powers.
He was
It's
kind
sort of like having the, you know, incumbent title on a ballot, right?
Right.
You're like, "Ah,
Yeah.
that
Bill Powers.
one, easy.
Yeah, but
I love how he agreed with Jack, though, on like, Yeah, the city council maybe.
That was a really interesting point, right?
Yeah.
He said, like, I agree with you, the city council and the city doesn't have the trust to do this. We will keep it separate from the city. And Jack kept saying, like, there's no way to keep it separate. It has to be done. The city's the only entity that can do that. Now, Bill said maybe you could have a special district or something else set up. But he did concede the point that the city doesn't have the public's trust to run that, which is a really interesting point to concede at this crossroads.
Infamously a hard thing to resolve.
Yeah.
Well, next on our list we have what should we do when people with behavioral health issues refuse treatment? And the winner is Dr. Aaron Meyer, Behavioral Health Officer for the City of San Diego. Are you present?
Hey. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So this was another easy topic. Obviously, the people that are struggling in the street, that the mayor in his State of the City spoke about, when you see somebody like that, you should think of the county of San Diego. We talked a lot about that. I wrote a piece about the screaming you sometimes hear in the street and how scary that is, how hard it is, how you wish you could do things about it. What was your solution in short?
It was a pretty easy solution, facetiously speaking.
I was like, really? Let's go.
So the first point that I wanted to make is that we need accountability to the public. So we need accountability dashboards related to the provision of the different types of beds that we need. We need accountability as to how long people are staying in the emergency department until they can transition to psychiatric treatment. We need accountability on how we are really delivering behavioral health care for people who need it the most. And then we need to focus on how not necessarily the individual refuses the system, but how the system refuses the individual. If you have a cognitive disorder and mental illness, if you have mental illness and a substance use disorder, if you have autism and a mental health disorder, you can be excluded from the systems of care that can help you. And really, we need to make sure that we acknowledge complexity as the rule, not the exception. Whereas currently, if you're complex, then we can utilize diagnostic overshadowing, say, well, all of your presentation is due to this thing that excludes you from the system. And that leaves people who need help the most without the care that they need. We need to learn from other counties. In many other counties, specialized paramedics have 5150 authority. I know many of you have followed Senate Bill 43 that extended diagnostic eligibility to people with severe substance use disorders, to people with necessary medical care, but our police teams, our mobile crisis response teams, they don't have access to medical records. And so when they're seeing somebody, when paramedics are seeing somebody who clearly cannot take care of their basic needs but is refusing or is unable to accept help, then sometimes paramedics are left without any options. But we can do in San Diego, like what other counties do, for instance in San Francisco, and extend 5150 authority to specialized paramedics.
Let's stop you there. 5150 authority is what?
So 5150 authority, it's an intervention that allows specialized either law enforcement currently or county designated professionals to temporarily take someone over their objection to a treatment facility for up to 72 hours.
And I see here that a key element of your proposal is that there's no one-size-fits-all approach. How do you create a system that can address the whole breadth of diverse needs that people might have?
Yeah, so that is incredibly important. One of the things that we have in Los Angeles County, they have a service in bed availability tool where it's a real-time dashboard where you can stratify. If you need a place that's wheelchair accessible, if you need a place for if you're over the age of 60, if you need a place that can accommodate families, then this service and bed availability tool can stratify that and then can let you know what beds are available in the community. And right now in San Diego, sometimes the best we can do is give people a piece of paper and say, call all these numbers and wish you the best.
Dr. Aaron Meyer, thank you so much for coming, and congratulations on your major award. Thank you.
I think it's time to shake it up with one more game here. What do you think?
Yeah, I need a volunteer, please. We got one, Jonathan. You want me to go?
Oh,
you got this.
I can do this.
You need to ask him where he's from.
Okay, yeah, I can do it. Here, you want to run the mic up to him, my assistant here?
Sure.
So I've come up with a game that is so devious and so nerdy, I will be very impressed if you get 2 of these questions correct.
Well, hold on. So, sir, what's your name?
Jonathan Schulman.
Jonathan Schulman. Where do you live?
I live in Poway.
In Poway.
Okay, that's not on this list. That's a good thing. This game is called What's in a Name, and it will quiz you on how well you know the origins of the names of many of San Diego's different neighborhoods. All right, you ready? You want to give this a shot? Okay, so this first question. This San Diego neighborhood, originally, and really quick, I can offer you one hint if you need it. It'll be the city council district in which this San Diego neighborhood is. And I will permit, I don't want anybody yelling out answers, but if we're getting a couple...
You can yell out.
If we're getting a couple questions in and
come
he's
on.
still stumped, then maybe we can revisit this, okay? Okay, this San Diego neighborhood, originally known as Mount Gilead, was purchased by the son of America's 18th president. In 1906, he renamed the area in honor of his father, with whom he shared a name.
That would be Grant.
Grant what?
Grant Hill.
There we go.
All right. Okay, one for one. I'm starting to feel
Were
a
you
little bit...
mouthing it for him?
I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I was doing no such thing.
All right.
Okay, so a lot of this is also just giving a little bit of background. So prior to the arrival of the Spanish, this region was called Istawa by the about 200 Kumeyaay residents who called it home. That translates to either worm's home or carry shells, depending on who you ask. The Spanish later called it Canada de Soledad, or Solitary Valley. In the 1800s, the name was changed again by an expedition of Europeans. They kept the last half, but replaced the first half, naming it after a coastal town in southern Italy they thought the region resembled. What is this neighborhood? So they kept the last half of Solitary Valley.
Solitary Valley. Carmel Valley?
No, unfortunately. Does anybody have a guess? Sorrento Valley. I heard it from over here. I swear, somebody said it. Okay. All right. This neighborhood got its name because its sandy soil has a high concentration of a certain type of evidence of marine life.
Prone to flooding.
Prone to flooding.
Potentially prone to flooding, yes.
Del Mar?
Unfortunately, these are all just in the city of San Diego. Does
Wait,
anybody else have a guess?
I think you know. No.
Anybody else have a
Should
guess?
we give somebody else a chance out there?
Go for it. Yeah.
Shelltown. Okay, all right. We only got a couple more of these left. This neighborhood was established in 1925 and funded largely by Joe Shenick, then president of the United Artists Corporation. It was named after his wife and her 2 sisters, all 3 of whom were stars during the silent film era. The neighborhood's grand opening, hosted at its now deconstructed gateway, was attended by more than 10,000 residents, including Buster Keaton, then husband of one of the 3 sisters.
No, for a moment I thought it was Claremont, but you're not talking about Claremont.
No, I'm not talking about Claremont. I can give you a hint. It is in Sean Yulo Rivera's district. Councilmember Sean Yulo Rivera's district.
Would that be, what is that north of Hillcrest? North of Hillcrest? Allied Gardens?
Talmadge. We were looking for Talmadge.
Talmadge.
Yes. Okay, so this is
All
the
right, one more.
last question here. I know, I told you.
Jonathan's
This
just
is a very difficult game.
Eating dirt.
In 1909, journalist William Ellsworth Smythe established the Little Landers, a commune movement that sought to develop non-hierarchical communities in which all members pooled resources and had an equal voice on public affairs. The movement's motto was, quote, "A little land and a living surely is better than desperate struggle and wealth possibly." Its first colony was created in this southern San Diego neighborhood, which the founders named after the patron saint of agriculture. Just 8 years later, the community was destroyed in a flood.
Point Loma?
I'm sorry, it was San Isidro. I was looking for San Isidro.
All right, let's
thank
hear
you,
it for
Jonathan.
Mr. Schulman.
Solid try.
Taking part in the most difficult game I think we have ever
that was
tried.
a tough. Come on, nobody knew any of that.
Those were diabolical questions.
I told you.
Do you have a question for the panel? It's okay if not. Sorry. Yeah, you come up with one. He's the political.
Okay, I've got one. I've got one for you.
All right, you ready for me to get it wrong?
Okay, San Diego is famous because the first president to use some sort of measure that amplified his voice happened here in San Diego at Balboa Stadium. Who
Wow.
was that president?
Holy shit, I don't know that one.
This is
I have no clue. Why don't you give it to me?
wait.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
Okay, he was here because he was on his national tour promoting the League of Nations.
Yeah.
Sod,
Can I
Sod,
guess?
help me out here.
Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson, correct.
All right.
That was too good a hint. Thank you, Jonathan.
That was good.
This is why you don't get into a quiz-off with a history professor or a civics professor.
He was.
I don't want to be in a quiz
He
off
was
with anybody
so
here.
excited about that game. Terrible game.
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. You all learned something, right?
Well, oh, shoot. Oh, yeah. Here, Jacob, you do this one.
All right, our next winner. How do we solve the childcare crisis? Another crisis. We have so many here. And this one was won by Courtney Baltiski with YMCA San Diego. She said, take it to the ballot box to secure local dedicated funding. Is Courtney here? No? No Courtney, okay.
I think she's referring to the effort at the County of San Diego to raise the transfer tax on really expensive homes. So if you sell a home at $5 million or more, you would charge a tax on that. Or there's another parcel tax, I think, being floated. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Lisa, do we know? We don't know yet. We don't know what they're going to do yet.
Lisa is our all things county person. All right, the next person, our next winner, I know is here. The winner of How Do We Ensure That All Children Receive an Excellent Education was Mr. David Miyashiro, superintendent at Cajon Valley Union School District.
Oh, just leaps right up. Mr. Miyashiro, here you go. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, have a seat. Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So you fixed education too?
Fixed education.
What are we going to do?
So people talk about, our education system is broken or needs to be fixed. It's actually doing exactly what it was designed to do. It was designed in 1892 by the Committee of 10 university heads who designed it for self-interest, basically, how are we going to admit kids into our universities? And so it was built in the model of industrialism, for industrialism, and the goal was sameness. That's where standardization and standardized testing came from. But the world of work is diverse. Every child is born with unique strengths, interests, and values, and should be cultivated and developed, not stripped away in the name of bubbling in a test. So the system is perfectly designed for what it's doing. We need a new system to reinvent it.
So tell us what that system would look like. What is the system that you pitched?
Well, in Cajon Valley, our vision is happy kids, healthy relationships on a path to gainful employment. And basically, that's about Maslow's hierarchy of needs categorized. So happy kids, self-aware, self-esteem, positive self-efficacy, healthy relationships, connectedness and belonging in schools, and then path to gainful employment. Every kid has vocational identity prepared for the world of work. And in Indiana, they have the 3 E's as their high school transcript. All kids have to either be employed, enrolled in post-secondary, or enlisted in the military. And the goal in Indiana is so that Indiana can maintain its Hoosiers. Indiana is highly rural, so lots of agriculture, lots of remote work, and the current system isn't designed to help Indianans thrive. So they've reinvented their system off of Switzerland with paid youth apprenticeships, and we're doing that in Cajon Valley now.
It's a fascinating thing, right? You very rarely hear a Californian say, we should do things like Indiana. And I would imagine you very rarely hear an Indianan saying we should do things like those Europeans in Switzerland. So exactly what are the benefits of creating a system that funnels kids or ensures that kids have graduate high school with one of these 3 things as you know, their future: employment, enlistment, or enrollment?
Yeah, so the Swiss system was redesigned in the 70s. And it used to look like ours, you know, basic skills, standardized tests. Businesses and industry in Switzerland went to the government and said, if we don't do something different, we're never going to have a workforce. The top graduates in Switzerland were leaving for other places with better climate, you know, better opportunity. And so the businesses redesigned the school system for them. And that's what Indiana's doing, is they're looking at those models based on industry, banking, finance, you know, different types of technology, and it's working. It's working in lots of different places. We just need to apply those solutions here.
What does this say about the sort of paradigm that we've been living in for a generation, wherein the expectation for all kids and for high school in general was we are essentially making sure that every kid goes to college? That was the expectation, at least when I was growing up. The expectation was if you did high school right, you were going to college. What do you think that says, this plan says about that?
We're not saying that kids should not go to college.
Okay, sure.
We're just saying that if kids are going to go to college, they should have a purpose. And the current system isn't about that. And so I think that giving kids an opportunity to explore careers and then make decisions based on their interests is really important. Not to say college is not for everybody, but in most successful systems I've studied around the world, kids spend at least 2 years working before they start university. They don't go straight from high school into college. They build skills, they build collaboration, interpersonal, other things that are, you know, can only be learned in work.
David Mishiro.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your major award.
And for our last one, we have, how do we make water more affordable in San Diego? And on the sheet, it's marked as a tie, I think.
Really?
But I'm in the app, and it was very close, but Nick Serrano, the chief of staff for Mayor Todd Gloria and the chair of the San Diego County Water Authority.
Deputy
won.
chief of staff.
Deputy chief of staff, sorry. But I mean, Scott moderated that panel, so tell us all about it.
Neither of them here, right? Or we have Dan? There's Dan. He was great, by the way.
It was very close, very close.
What's that? Yeah, come on, dude. It's your loss. There's a beautiful trophy over there I'll have to get to Nick. Listen, water is a story that I personally have gotten a lot out of over the last 20 years. I remember when I moved here, I got a job for $11 an hour at the Daily Transcript to cover housing and water. And I was really bummed out. I was like, I came up real short on that one. But turned out to be 2 things that I really appreciated learning about, and I still benefit from today. The situation with water is really interesting because we have spent so much money over the last 20 years on infrastructure that we have more water than we need. It's fascinating. We have access to more water than we need. But the southwestern United States does not have more water than it needs. It's bizarre how that all works. And so we're working as a community, as a region, in a way to sell that, to redistribute that allocation in a way that makes sense for us to lower the cost of water for our residents, but also, protects that reliability. I think, Dan made a good point. As we go through this, we are in an interesting situation because we kind of want other places to pay us for all the infrastructure we've built to desalinate water, to move some of that water from the Imperial Valley. But if we do any more of those projects, we shouldn't do them unless we have a guaranteed customer for that water. And that's at the core of what went wrong over the last 20 years. We built the desalination plant without a guaranteed customer for that water. And now we're trying to find that customer, and you lose a lot of leverage when you do that. Nick spent a lot of time rejecting the idea that the Water Authority needed to be dissolved. Obviously, as chairman of the Water Authority, he doesn't want to see it dissolved under his watch. But I think made some points about how much leverage the region would lose if that were to happen. But the cost of everything that we've taken on is significant, and dealing with it right now is. And I asked him to respond because this week the city council said we're not raising rates the way that you say we need to raise rates, and they have to raise rates that much, and it'll be really interesting to see how they square that.
What were some specific examples of his proposal to stop doing things the way they've always been done?
He thinks that the Metropolitan Water District should halt its plans to build its own water recycling plants. They need to change their relationship and sell some of that water like we talked about. He also mentioned that the city, and this is something we'll have to hash out with him about how he's really thinking of it, but I think he said the city's going to reevaluate phase 2 of of own water recycling plant, which was sort of newsworthy. Now, I think he kind of...
dropping news at Politifest?
Yeah, no big deal. But he kind of walked that back a little bit. I don't think he's saying, we won't do phase 2, but he was saying we need to think about phase 2.
Well, and there was also a lot of discussion from both people on the panel about creating a system to support low-income individuals with their water bills. The only utility, it sounds like, where that isn't an offering.
Yeah, it falls under Prop 218, which means that you're not allowed to charge anybody less or more except for just how much it costs to get them the water. And that means there's no low-income support like there is for power or other things in the community. And so there was an idea to put forward a ballot initiative to change it, or otherwise come up with other money that they could get to people who are struggling with their bills.
I will say we did miss one panel.
Prop 50?
Prop 50.
Prop 50. That was our only panel that was a debate, a straight up debate, just as
Classic
we usually do.
Voice San Diego,
Voice of
Politifest.
San Diego. That was between Assemblymember Chris Ward, who was yes on Prop 50, and John Slavitt, host of State of Gold podcast.
Yeah, they showed up at the office and interviewed me the other day. I'm like, that guy must be smart. That was a joke.
He had a good podcast voice. He was, of course, no on Prop 50, and Assemblymember Chris Ward won that debate.
Got it. Well, what a collection of super smart people and interesting people, even just coming up on stage tonight. Thank you all for coming and for embracing a day of public policy. We're going to let you go to the reception. There's some food, some drinks. Really appreciate everybody spending time on these deep topics. And there's no other entity in town that would spend a whole day digging into all these complex issues. But I think it's worth it. It's one thing we're committed to always doing. Thank you all.
Thank you.